Ladies and gentlemen,
wrestling has more than one royal family.
I am my kingdom! I am my kingdom!
For years, it was a Thanksgiving tradition. No, I'm not talking about Starrcade. I'm talking about Survivor Series. And this year, and of course over the years, it's come to not be on Thanksgiving Day, and it's come to be on a Sunday somewhere in November at some time. And this year they hit it pretty close, right? I mean, they hit it 4 days before Thanksgiving. But right along with that, lately has been NXT Takeover Wargames. So basically a full weekend of Survivor-style matches for WWE. And so I spent the evening of Thanksgiving watching Wargames. Jeff finally caught up with me today, and so we're going to discuss Wargames today. Jeff,
well,
go ahead.
And we have some other, news that has happened too. I mean, MLW. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch it yet, but I kind of broke the news to you, so I'm sure you might have a thought or two on it. That was the big Thanksgiving special this year, and they delivered with a couple of pretty decent matches. Some stuff that I hope now that Cornette is no longer with NWA, he goes back, because has really been struggling lately.
They have been. I actually only watched the opening Survivor Series or Survivor
style match.
Style match.
Yeah, the Survivor Series style match. Yeah. I think they might have done that as a shout out to Survivor Series, to be honest, because it just seemed fitting that you have a Survivor style match on Thanksgiving. That's the way it always was. That's the way it always should be.
Oh, I agree. I'm just a little bit surprised that they went the route that they did. There's three guys in Injustice. They could have had somebody else, some other heel join them and actually done a 4-on-4 instead of the 2-on-2 thing.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make Oliver and what the hell's his name? Coda. What is his name? Yeah, Coda Brazil. Well, now it's what was coming to my head, but I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to establish those two as a tag team. I mean, we have to finally get rid of this feud with Gringo Loco, or as Jordan Oliver called him, Gordo Loco, which actually was the best part of that promo. I laughed really loud. But I think they're trying to establish those two as a tag team to make a run at the tag team titles.
Yeah, that would make sense that they would do that.
Couple things, because you watch it,
they definitely need some tag teams in that organization.
Yeah, and there's a few things that happen in this episode, and I'm going to break it because, well, you haven't watched it yet, and I kind of broke the big thing already today. But a couple that happened is I think MJF has been completely written off now, and there's now a third member of Dynasty.
Interesting. Better not be
no, oh God, that was brutal. But
well, he was brutal in TNA. I don't know why you would expect him to be any better in MLW.
Well, I knew he wasn't going to be, but he might be one of the worst promo men I've ever seen. Like, straight up, worst promo men I've ever seen out of his hand, because he does not just give him a manager, someone to talk for him. Because I think if he doesn't talk, he may be watchable. But the second he opens his mouth, it annoys so much. So much. But anyway.
Than a elementary school play.
No. You need to watch the main event, because that was the worst overacting I've ever seen. But I'll get to that in a second. Alex Hammerstone delivered his gift to the Dynasty. So now we're back at 3 members of the Dynasty, since MJF is kind of... since he's only appearing via phone lately.
Am I going to be
his
excited about
gift.
this person?
I don't know who he is. I thought at first it was Killer Cross, but it turned out
Well, then I
not
would
to be.
excited.
Right, but it's not. It's somebody who's actually bigger than Alex Hammerstone.
Okay.
He's their new bruiser, is what they announced him as, and he's going to be in some battle royal that's coming up.
And you don't know who
So, dude, I can barely remember my own name this time of year.
Okay.
They did say his name.
I'll have to tonight probably. So.
I'll have to watch it, but it was a nice way to keep Dynasty going, with Richard Holiday as that MJF leader character, and then Alex Hammerstone, and now a bigger bruiser. This guy's huge, and he looks really familiar. But I just couldn't. I was kind of watching while I was on my lunch break, so I wasn't really totally paying attention. But then we got to the worst overacting I've ever seen in my life, which set up probably the worst heel turn in history, with Filthy Tom Lawler. And you mentioned earlier last week, he when Ross called him his brother, he kind of made that face. Well, this week he was out there just pumping up Ross, telling him how great it's going to be to have Ross as the next champion and how he's got his back, and they're brothers and all this stuff. It was so over the top that you immediately knew Lawler was turning heel at the end of the night, which he did. He ended up turning heel, which is a great move by Lawler. I think it's a great move for the organization. A heel Tom Lawler is always better than that crap we've had for the last, 6-8 months? Well, Jesus, almost a year. And he the ring by saying, fuck Contra, fuck the Von Erichs, fuck everybody, and just walked out.
See, I really want to see them make this make sense, because he's the one that brought the Von Erichs in. They've been basically inseparable since then. They won War Games together, or War Chamber together, I should say. So I wanted Tom Lawler to go back to heel. We talked about that before on this show, but I really wanted him to come out with a promo to make everything make sense as to why he did it.
And I agree, and I wish that there had been at least. The difference with this is there was teasing some dissension between him and the Von Erichs before he turned heel, unlike MJF, which was still, in my eyes, the worst heel turn ever. This is close. This is a close second. It was bad, but at least it put Tom in a better light, in a place where I think he's going to thrive. But it doesn't feel like it can go anywhere, because Tom kind of went his own way while the Von Erichs went their own way. They were still friends, but they weren't really a team anymore. And then all of a sudden he comes in and he's like, you're my brother, you had my back, I'll always have your back, and then turns on him. Where's it going to go? Is Tom Lawler versus Ross Von Erich going to be a feud now?
Well, I guess it depends on how injured Marshall is. If he's really hurt and he really can't wrestle for a while, then it would make sense that Ross has somebody to feud against. But aren't they the tag team champions also?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So it's not just the payoff of where it goes from here doesn't make sense. So we're going to need a good promo by him to sell this, because right now it's borderline one of the worst heel turns ever. Not as bad as the MJF one, but getting close.
All right, so you said MJF was the worst heel turn of all time, did you not?
That I've ever seen, yeah.
All right, so what's the greatest you've ever seen?
Hulk Hogan.
That's
Hulk
a good
Hogan
answer.
might have been the greatest heel turn because it was so unexpected, but he was able to deliver in his post-match promo to make it all make sense.
See, and I was thinking, as I asked the question, I was thinking Seth Rollins.
Which one, though?
When he
His turn on the Shield, or his... Okay. See, and yeah, I kind of get that, but my only problem with that one is it wasn't so much about Seth Rollins as it was about Triple H. Because, yeah, we all expected Dean Ambrose to be the guy that turned heel. We all expected, Dean to be the guy to be the breakout star and the one that was going to be the next champ and the one that was going to be the heel out of the group and turn on his brothers and everything. But to have Seth do it was such a surprise that it had that huge impact. But what sold it was not Seth. What sold it was Triple H talking about his plan B, because it was right after Batista did his stupid little leaving WWE with his whatever that wave thing was that he did. And, he talked about having a plan B, and then it ended up being Seth. And then Seth went on to one of the worst heel runs I've ever seen, where he couldn't win a match unless Jamie Noble and who's that other guy? Joey Mercury helped him out. It was just bad. The only shining spot of his entire heel run was when he his face-off with Brock Lesnar after he screwed Brock Lesnar out of the title in that very first face-off when he couldn't even look Brock in the face. And he just kind of cowered and he ran away like that cowardly heel. But otherwise, that was one of the worst heel runs as champion I think I've seen in a long time, and I don't think I've seen anything that bad since in any promotion.
Right. I mean, if you look at the follow-up, then yeah, you're totally right. But if you look at the actual turn itself, just the shockingness of it, I think was amazing.
Yeah, it was, because like I said.
But if you look at the complete follow-up, then Hogan's has to be number one of all time, because first of all, he was Hulk Hogan. And secondly, look what it led to over the next year and a half.
Well, and not just that, but he immediately delivered a promo that sold it. It wasn't just, hey, I turned heel because I'm going to turn heel. This is the order. We are the ones taking over. And it fed into everything we've ever heard about Hulk Hogan up to that point. And keep in mind, at that time, it was just dirt sheets and rumors. So we didn't really get all the internet scoops and all that stuff, but everybody knew that Hulk Hogan was an egomaniac. And if you'd listened to Heenan for a decade before that, it almost felt like Heenan was after that heel turn, it almost felt like Bobby Heenan was predicting that heel turn for damn near a decade. Mm-hmm. Because he always talked about how despicable Hogan was and how Hogan was never this guy that was this great thing that everybody thought he was, and he was always this asshole and all that stuff. And I mean, some of the lines that Heenan had at Hogan's expense, like he came out and when it was him against Flair, and Flair came out and he gives him the 4, and then Tony Schiavone's like, yeah, I saw you gave Flair the 4 horsemen sign, and he goes, yeah, when Hogan came out I gave him the 1 horseman sign.
No,
it was just
that Arn Anderson came down and Tony Schiavone said, look, he's showing the four fingers, that's a sign of the 4 horsemen, and Heenan said, when Hogan came out I gave 1 finger. That's what it was.
Is that what it was? All I know is but it was such a great heel turn because it just had so much history. He delivered probably one of the best heel promos I've heard ever immediately after that turn, as the ring is filling with garbage, and it was one of those magical moments that I'll never forget. Probably my second favorite heel turn of all time was Flair on Sting during that tag match. Well, that's what I was getting to. During that tag match, when it was Pillman and Arn against Flair and Sting, and he spent months and months and months getting, convincing Sting that he was somebody he could be counted on and all this stuff, and then just to turn on him the way it was expected. We knew it was coming at some point, but it was still just so well done that it might be my second favorite.
It was like 3 weeks, not months and months.
It was a long goddamn time in the wrestling world.
But along the same lines, my favorite, the one along the same lines as that one to me is Arn Anderson turning on Dustin Rhodes. when Arn
Yeah.
when Arn told him, you told him, you know who I am, and then he comes in, he's like pumping his fist like he's about to go after the stud stable, and nope, he drops Dustin with the DDT. That's probably my favorite one along those lines.
Yeah, that was a good one too. That really was. Man, there's been some great heel turns, and then we've gotten this crap over the last couple of months. Speaking of great heel turns, and this was for a different reason, and it's going to kind of and you didn't watch MLW. Oh, one more thing about MLW before we move on to this. Darby Allin's wife is now in MLW, and she is amazing.
Darby Allin has a wife?
Yeah, Priscilla Kelly.
I did not know they were married.
I didn't either until today. I found it. I Googled her just because the way that they made her appearance as being the Spider Woman and the way she came out of it, the way they sold. Oh, that's Priscilla Kelly. It's Priscilla Kelly. I needed to find out who the Priscilla Kelly was, and it turns out it's Darby Allin's wife. And on this episode, after last week when she unveiled herself and then she cut that ridiculously great promo that didn't make much sense because there really is no MLW women's division, but it was still a really, really strong promo. This week, that Casey Lennox or whatever her name is, the backstage reporter.
Yeah, she got her ass kicked. I saw that.
Got just beaten down, and then the fact that Priscilla ended up attacking the cameraman too. I'm intrigued by her. I really need to see where they go with this because so far 2 episodes and I'm sold on this woman. But yeah, that's Darby Allin's wife, which I thought was kind of cool too. But
yeah,
now
and she's bigger than him too.
Yes, she is. But now leading to another heel turn that happened that I really enjoyed. I want to hear the promo. I want to see where it goes. But the viciousness of it was so impressive.
Guy.
Oh my God. That was such a great, unexpected heel turn. And of course, it's not going to be made great until we hear the reason. But to turn on her best friend in that manner, that viciously, and not only her best friend, but to throw punches at William Regal and the referees, and just she lost her damn mind, and it was great to watch.
So here's how great that was. I don't know who Dakota Kai is. I don't know who Tegan Knox is because I just haven't been following NXT on a week-to-week basis, and those guys.
But you do now, don't you?
Those girls have not been on, any takeovers. So I saw their comebacks. I knew they were best friends, but I had no emotional investment in them, and now I do in both of those. Now I have emotional investment in what the hell Dakota Kai did, why she did what she did, and also in Tegan Knox getting her revenge on her. So well done. Well done.
I mean, the Io Shirai turn on Candice LeRae was fun. But this turn took 2 people that neither you or I even gave a shit about. Like we knew who Candice LeRae was. We were invested. We knew she was a great wrestler and a great performer. We both kind of liked Io Shirai, but you were upset about the face attacking the heel and so on. We had some emotional investment. You and I don't have the time to watch NXT anymore. So this was, like you said, it was completely unexpected. I had no story build up to this. None at all. To coming into every one of these matches, there was no stories involved. I watched these matches and I had to get it done, so I skipped forward. I watched the match and then I'd skip to the next match, and I love that WWE Network has that function now. But I didn't watch any of the backstories. I didn't listen to any of the commentary on it. I just watched the matches, and that heel turn has me now to the point where I'm going to search out these 2 when they have their feud blow-offs. When she comes out next week and explains why she did what she did and all this stuff, I'm invested. Just because of how vicious it was.
Guess what?
What?
On NXT, she did not explain why she did what she did yet.
It hasn't. Has NXT happened since then?
Yeah.
When the hell was this show? Why am I so far behind? What is going on with my life?
Wargames was on November 23rd.
She did explain it?
She didn't explain it yet. No, she had a match against
God,
Candice
that's
LeRae.
disheartening.
She had a match against Candice LeRae where she lost by disqualification but beat the shit out of LeRae afterwards. And then, of course, the superhero of the women's division right now went out and saved her. So.
And who's that?
Oh,
yeah.
And
now, okay.
No, that's.
Oh, go ahead.
I had more to say about that. So
yeah, go ahead.
The other thing about it is that there's also that intriguing part of the mystery is like, so did Dakota Kai attack Mia Kim before the match to take her place and then do this to Tegan Nox, or did somebody else attack Mia Yim before the match?
That was what I was thinking too. As soon as I saw the heel turn, I'm like, holy shit, did she attack Mia too?
Right.
Did she do that as some kind of ploy to get in this position? It was just the brutality of it. The fact that she went as nuts as she did. Like, normally you see a heel turn, it's one or two shots. Like the Finn Balor turn on Johnny was just that Pele kick. That was the end of it. You know, the Lawler turn on Von Erich, it was just that chair shot. That was it. This was insanely brutal. Like, she went 14 levels of crazy and kicked her in the face and then attacked her and pulled her through the cage and slammed her leg in the door and then did put the leg breaker on and then came back again after she was ushered off. It was such insanity that it made me an instant fan of this feud. Instant fan.
It was worse than Balor's. It was worse than Balor's attack on Gargano, you know, and that was
right.
brutal
Exactly.
in itself, so.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and the fact that you've got Shayna Baszler in the background laughing made it so much better. And then being Candice in the ring with their mouths wide open, watching it, like, what the fuck is happening? It was such a great, great heel turn that I don't know that I need an explanation for it. It was so brutal and so well done that this might be one of the rare times where I don't care about the explanation. I just want to see these two fight each other.
Well, you know, and that was the other great. You mentioned Rhea Ripley's reaction to it, and that was great how it sold it also, because Rhea was still yelling, "Get down here!" You know, get down here, because she knew that, you know, regardless of what she had just done to Tegan Nox, she was still looking at facing, you know, 2 against 4 if Dakota Kai didn't come out there, and Kai still just like, kind of like, you know, like. Bad, you know, trash talked her. We couldn't really understand what she was saying, but she was still trash talking everybody, and she just walked the fuck away anyway. You know, it was such a great. It was so well sold by everybody out there. You know.
Yeah, it really was. And to be honest, that was the only thing about that match I liked.
What?
It really was. If it wasn't for that heel turn, that match should have been off the card. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Okay, so we are in complete disagreement here. That is the greatest Wargames match I've ever seen.
Oh, are you kidding me? See, now I thought
awesome. And it's awesome.
Hated
and it's awesome despite the fact that my favorite women's wrestler of all time was terrible in it.
She was okay. She was herself. Whoever this Kaylee Ray
not
is.
Herself? Are you kidding me?
She was Shayna Baszler. I mean, it was what I mean.
And maybe Shayna Baszler just doesn't perform well in a multi-person match then, because
she never has.
Because she wasn't great in that match, and she was not great at Survivor Series either. And yes,
yeah,
she
never had. Oh, I've watched a couple of those matches too. I didn't watch the whole thing, but
the only
the
things
big
I didn't
four
watch were the World Championship matches. Otherwise, I watched everything.
The big four they still hold a soft spot in my heart, because that's what, it and even this last weekend with Starrcade, yeah, I know it's not WCW anymore. I know it's not the NWA anymore, but it still holds a soft spot in my heart. So I will watch the big four, and I'll watch, the War Games or something like that. I'll watch it just because of what it's meant to me from, childhood till now. So I plan to watch it.
You had told me how well NXT did it, and I wanted to see it for myself. And
that too.
And NXT was won 4 to SmackDown's 2, Raw's 1, and they almost were 5 to 1 because it took Roman Reigns, beating Keith Lee in the final of the men's Survivor Series match when it was those only two guys left for them not to get that clean sweep in those matches, basically.
Yeah, they did have a hell of a performance, but it kind of is one of those things where they're trying to position NXT as this unstoppable force so that they can get the viewership up.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's fine because to be honest, I think NXT is the superior brand. I love the fact that some of my favorites are coming back to NXT to perform and putting on the shows like Kevin Owens did during Wargames. The men's Wargame match I thought was amazing. I really liked the Matt Riddle versus Balor match, and that triple threat match I thought was good. Not great, but it was definitely good.
So what did you not like about the women's match then? Because to me, it was booked perfectly. If you're going to book 2 people to beat 4, I thought it was booked.
Definitely those 2.
Perfection.
Yeah. I felt like the booking.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I asked you.
No, the book.
Go ahead.
No, dude, I don't let you answer shit either. So talk all you want. My problems with it were, I think a lot of my problem with this entire show, to be honest, was Morrow and his parrot. I don't know what those 2 do, but they need to coordinate what their scripts are, because I'm getting really, really sick of Morrow saying something and then 30 seconds later, Beth Phoenix saying the exact same thing just in a different way. Every time I've watched those 2 together, it seems like that's what they do. It's like he's got his little parrot there. I cannot, and here we're going to go with my normal Morrow rant, but I cannot listen to him. The fact that those 2 together, they bring down these matches so much that by the end, and maybe the reason I enjoyed the men's match so much is I turned the sound down. I couldn't take them anymore. They were so bad. They're just Morrow and his feigned excitement and his having to force in these catchphrases that sometimes 90% of the time don't make any sense. Like he was quoting movies at one point that had nothing to do with what was happening in the ring just to get his shit in. He is, and I might be in the minority. I guess I don't know. But I can't stand listening to him. I just can't. He might be my least favorite announcer right now, and there's still Michael Cole out there. But I think I like Mauro Ranallo worse.
Wow.
And then Beth is not good either. She literally is just his parrot. It's really hard to listen to those 2.
Okay,
but
so I asked you what you didn't like about the match, and you started ranting.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
About the commentator. So I'm wondering, is that what? All right, go ahead.
That was part of it.
Okay.
Those 2 really, really ruined the first probably 3/4 of the show, and well, there was only 4 matches. They ruined the first 3 of them because of how bad their commentary was. Now on to this match, and it happened again in the men's match. Wargames is a blood feud. Wargames is the culmination of the worst rivalries out there. The ones that are, this is Ciampa versus Gargano type stuff. Do you really think that Ciampa and Gargano would have been able to have separate entrances and stand there within 5 feet of each other, staring at each other while the other one comes out and does their little dance?
No.
That annoyed me. And it annoyed me in the men's too, because yeah, UE came out. That's great. And you've got Ciampa and all these guys who are just, they hate them. That, this is the War Games. This is the culmination of it. And Undisputed Era standing there while Keith Lee, Dijakovic, and Ciampa come out. It was the same thing with the women's match, with the women. They all had their separate entrances, and the only one that actually seemed to care was Tegan Nox. She came out and she was, yelling at at Baszler's team. But why do we have these these four members from each team standing within feet of each other? They hate each other. All they can think about doing is getting in that cage and beating the hell out of each other. And we have them within feet of each other staring at each other and not doing anything. So dumb. Have one team come out, get in the cage, lock them up, then bring out the other team. At least make it make sense. But so that irritated me from the beginning. And then I loved the Candice LeRae stuff. I loved the fact that Io Shirai was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going. And then Candice LeRae was like, okay, if she's going, I'm going too. And Candice LeRae plays that Johnny Gargano role to perfection. Almost better than Johnny Gargano does.
Real quick here, because I was going to make a point, and you kind of brought it up here. So,
okay,
the reason why they're doing it the way that you don't like is because so they can have those kind of moments where you have the teams like not sure who's going to be out there, and then somebody else will make that decision like what they're going to do.
And that's fine. They could have done that in the cage.
And if you throw them all in the cage all at the same time, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can.
How?
Because you had Shayna Baszler's team taking the lead. So you open the cage door to see who's going to come out, and Io Shirai busts out, and then Candice LeRae does the same thing on the other side. It could have worked. The fact that they did it the way they did it had pulled me out of it from the beginning, because it was something I hated about the Usos when they'd come out and do their little war dance. They're in this blood feud with whatever tag team they're up against, and they're up on stage doing their little war dance. Granted, that's what got the Usos over to begin with, but at the same point, if you hate these people, why are you up there doing your little damn dance? And to me, it was like, and it was even worse in the men's one. Not so much because of Dijakovic and Keith Lee, because I don't know what their history with Undisputed Era is, but I do know what Ciampa's is. And for him to come out there and calmly stand there and then march to the ring without even talking to his teammates honestly made no sense when he had the entire Undisputed Era right there out of their cage, and he could have just attacked them with the crutch right there. It's one of those little details where I'm such a stickler on details, and this was one of those details where it was like, okay, this was not well done. But anyway,
yeah, they probably should have. Maybe they should have had like something like a stipulation where you couldn't, if you'd attacked your opponents before the match, you were automatically lost or something like that.
Or why not do it like MLW does? Or maybe why not do it like the NWA used to do? There was never those stupid cages on the stage. They stayed in the back.
No,
they were in the back. No, but in MLW they do.
Right, but I'm saying not in NWA. They were always out there, and then they would you would just be waiting for the guy to come out there. They were basically just sitting like right outside the cage.
Yeah, that was the early moments of it. But once they hit about, I want to say 95, 96, you didn't know who was coming out until their music hit. They did it a lot more like a Battle Royal type thing, or like a Royal Rumble type thing, where you had no clue who was on the way until their music hit.
I don't remember them ever doing that.
I believe they did it in 98. Might have been the first time or 96 might have been the first time I saw it. Was when Sting, they had the Sting and the fake Sting. And Luger ended up being
that Starrcade or that
really?
Raw. Yeah.
That's still one of my favorites. That might be my favorite War Game match of all time. Because the Sting and the fake Sting, oh yeah, the fact that they had built Sting up as nobody knew if they could trust him, and then the fake Sting comes out, and that's the fake Sting's moment of the Renegade or whatever his name was. That was his moment in the sun, and then the real Sting comes out and splashes everybody and basically wins the match for them, and then says, you didn't believe me? Fuck you guys, and walked out.
Well, yeah, I know what happened. I'm just saying I never saw it. So.
It might be one of my favorite War Games of all time. But regardless, back to this one. So Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, loved it. Love their chemistry. I love those two together. I think Candice is better at being Johnny Gargano than Johnny Gargano is. She plays that face in peril better than anyone I've ever seen. And she does it in a way where when she does make her little comebacks, they're not unbelievable. Like with Johnny, I think Johnny is amazing. He's one of the best wrestlers. He's one of my favorites. I mean, there was a time we were going to stop calling them 5-star matches. We were going to call them 5 Gargano matches because he's that good. But he does have a tendency to overdo his comebacks.
We did do that at one point. I totally forgot.
Yeah, we did. But
and now I'm
he
so
does
down on him. It's crazy.
He does have a tendency to really overdo his comebacks, where he'll sell, oh my God, he's getting his ass kicked, and then all of a sudden he'll do a 5, 6, 7 move stretch where he's in control. Candice doesn't do that. She gets her ass kicked, has 1, maybe 2 offensive moves, and then gets her ass kicked again. She is so good at, I mean, like I said, I think she might be better at it than Johnny is. Right. And she was phenomenal in that first 5 minutes. And I felt like her and Io have such a great chemistry, and they sell everything so well, and they're so good together that first 5 minutes was just, it was great. I really liked it. And then Bianca Belair comes in, and I've never been a fan of hers. That's not been anybody's secret, especially mine. But I was still okay with it. Where it turned was when Ripley came down, and her teammate has been getting her ass kicked for 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Getting her ass kicked. And instead of I get that. Instead of getting in the ring, she's digging under for trash cans and chairs and all this stuff. She spends 2.5 minutes getting shit to throw in the ring instead of saving her partner. To make it worse, when she finally gets in the ring, there's like 1.5 minutes of fighting before Kylie Rae. And by the way, can we call her something other than Kylie Rae, because that name's already taken? But regardless, Kylie Rae comes in, and instead of getting into the ring, she goes under the ring to bring in chairs that are already in the ring. That 6 minutes, really, on top of the bad commentary and everything going on, that 6 minutes really, really drug to the point where I was like, this is not a good match. What are they doing? It makes no sense. And then we had the Dakota Kai heel turn, which saved the entire thing. And Shayna Baszler laughing in the background was still one of my favorite things ever. Just her laughing was great.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you about I guess I missed the Kaylee Ray stuff, and actually her name is Kaylee Ray. The other one you're thinking was Kylie Ray. So there are different women.
It's too close. I don't care. Too close. Yeah, change your name.
But I think Kaylee Ray actually was wrestling before Kylie Ray was. So I think Kylie Ray is one to have to actually change her name, not Kaylee Ray. But
I don't care. One of them needs to change their damn name.
I'm fine with you saying that. You're such an old curmudgeon sometimes.
Well, I am 6 months old. So.
Yeah, I know.
Fair enough.
But I mean, I guess I kind of overlooked the whole, because I thought the same thing with Rhea Ripley was doing. I'm like, what are you doing? Your teammates been getting their ass kicked. You're out there supposed to be this big badass, and you're not out there and they're helping you. Instead, you're throwing weapons into the ring. But then I thought, well, she's the team captain. She's having faith in her teammate that she can hold out a few more seconds. You can't lose the match. You can't
a few more seconds.
Hang on. You can't.
It was like 2 minutes.
Okay, it's fine, 2 minutes. But you can't win or lose the match at that point anyway. So you get in there. You're the big badass. You dominate those other two guys as the freshest person in there, or chicks, I guess in this case. I'll be politically correct and call them chicks. and you get them in there, and then you're dominating. So I mean, I guess I kind of like. I was able to suspend my disbelief there because I thought, well, she's the team captain. She should know the strengths of her team. She decided that she can last a bit longer, and it's a good trade-off for being able to do more damage, because once she gets in that cage, if she leaves it, her team loses. So she only has that really one opportunity to put the weapons in.
And I'm not saying that it didn't end up being okay. I didn't like the fact that she spent that kind of time when her teammate has been getting her ass kicked. The part that really took me out of it was when, and I'm going to say it, Kaylee Ray came out and dug under the ring and grabbed more chairs. That was the part I was like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's like, why? Okay, if she'd come out and grab.
It's funny because that's where the men's war game lost me. It was like,
with the tables, yeah.
With the tables, because not only did Cole put like 3 in the ring, then set one up on the barricade for himself to be put through ridiculously, and then he threw more in there after he set up that one. But also, we had already seen the weapons in a War Games match earlier. We didn't need to see weapons in another War Games.
You know what the funny thing is? We haven't seen weapons in a War Game match since the 80s, until MLW did it this year with Contra Unit. Now all of a sudden, both the WWEs had it too. There were no weapons last year. They didn't have weapons in the first 2 War Games. It was just the guys in there beating the shit out of each other. I don't remember weapons in any of the WCW or NWA War Games. Now all of a sudden MLW had War Games or had weapons because of Contra Unit, so both the WWE ones had to have them, or NXT ones had to have them too.
See, I feel like last year's War Games did have weapons in it, but I could be mistaken.
The one in MLW did because they had the barbed wire.
No, I thought last year's one in NXT did, because I thought there was a table spot in that one as well.
I guess I don't remember. The table spot that I remember was the Adam Cole Johnny Gargano one during their 3 stages of hell. I don't remember the table. I don't remember a table spot in last year. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. I just don't remember it, because I remember once Pete Dunne, the one thing that stood out in that one was the fact that Bobby Fish came out through the keys, and they couldn't get Pete Dunne out. So when Pete Dunne finally came out, all hell broke loose. But I don't remember weapons in that one. I remember, the 8 of them standing in the middle of the, where the 2 rings were connected. I remember Ricochet coming off the top of the barrier, off the top of the cage. I remember all that stuff, but I don't remember weapons at all. And I could be wrong. I mean, it's just not sticking out in my head. I do remember weapons in last year's.
I guess I was thinking that when Ricochet did that dive off the top of the War Games cage, it was actually through a table, but I could be wrong about that.
No, he just did a somersault, or he just did a backward somersault where he landed on everybody, and you had Morrow and his "oh my Mamma Mia" bullshit. Jesus, Mamma Mia, stop with the fucking Mamma Mia. Oh my God.
You realize that now the crowd says it more than he does, right?
I know, but it's still fucking annoying. When he was during the when Kevin Owens was coming down, and he was doing the "oh my bleep," you're on fucking network. You're on the internet. You're not even on a fucking TV show. You're on the internet. Say the fucking word.
And it's only shit. It's not like you're saying the F word or something.
Yeah, and you watch AEW, you watch MLW, you watch Ring of Honor and New Japan. They're swearing nonstop. And Mauro Ranallo on a paid, you have to pay to watch it, and he's screaming "oh my bleep."
Yep.
Oh my God, he annoyed me to no end.
You know why?
But then again, I guess that's nothing new. I've been complaining about him for a long time. So
Yeah, do you know why he annoys you to no end?
why?
Because he's annoying.
Yeah, he is. What the fuck? Why do people actually think... I'm actually right now, after listening... this is why I can't watch NXT and why I don't watch it. Like, I would take the time, because the performers are really, really good. Really good. I really like Matt Riddle, and I hated him because of his bro persona, but he has won me over with his matches. I like Dominic Dijakovic. I like Keith Lee. I like everyone in Undisputed Era. Ciampa is one of my favorites. I love Johnny Gargano. I love the wrestlers.
Right.
I cannot watch it because of Mauro Ranallo and Beth Phoenix. They're so bad on commentary, and I'm sure yes, okay, you guys, I know I'm going to get the angry tweets about how I don't really understand it and all that stuff. I don't like them. Plain and simple.
Yeah, well, you like what you like, right?
Mm-hmm. And we've always said that. I mean, that's the one thing about this show is we've always said I'm not trying to make anybody like what I like. I'm not trying to. We all have different perspectives. We all have different views. Like what you like. Convince me why I should like it. But if I don't, let it go.
Right. And
I can't stand.
And I just want to make I understand why you didn't like the women's match after you explained it to me. I loved it because I thought everybody did a fantastic job in it. I mean, yes, the stuff with the weapons was irritating at first until I really thought about it and I kind of got into her head a little bit psychologically. But I thought everything that happened at the end made a lot of sense. I thought.
Oh yeah.
They all put each other out. Rhea using the handcuff that she had been cuffed with originally to take out, to cuff herself to Baszler and put Baszler through the chair with the riptide. I mean, I thought everything psychologically that match was perfect. I thought like I said, that first 5 to 8 minutes with Candice LeRae and Io Shirai, and even when Bianca got in there, and I'm not a fan of Bianca, that's no secret. But I felt like she was great in her role during that time. Yep.
When it turned on me, so that first 8 minutes of the match, I loved, absolutely loved. Candice LeRae, every time I see her, she impresses me more. But that middle section really got me down. And then hearing Mauro talk and Beth doing her parroting, and then you get a little snippet from Nigel every now and then, which is the only thing that saved the commentary, by the way, was little snippets from Nigel. I hated it. And then all of a sudden that Dakota Kai turn happened. And the viciousness and the just brutality of that turn. And Shayna laughing in the background, and the looks on B and Candice's faces, and just everything about that turned it again. So the rest of the match, I loved. Absolutely loved it. I loved the story that was told throughout the remainder of that match. When you had, can these two actually do this? Can they survive? Can they beat 4 people? And the fact that they did, and then watching Candice and Ripley in the middle of the ring celebrating afterwards was such a great moment. And I loved the ending of that match. It's just that middle part tore me so much that I could have done without the whole thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was actually wondering as I watched it what you were going to think of the whole 4 versus 2 thing.
I didn't mind it. I honestly didn't. It made sense. It fit the story well. And we all know that B is just the only person that I could ever believe is a bigger badass than Shayna Baszler is B. Priestley. Or I'm sorry, not B. Priestley. Rhea Ripley. Yeah. She's the only person that I could ever believe is a bigger badass than Shayna Baszler.
And the other thing,
and she proved it.
Once Io Shirai did that moonsault from the top of the cage and took out the other 4 people in the match, then it was pretty much, it pretty much just left B to take on the other
Shayna.
members of Shayna after she took out Kaylee Ray, and then it was pretty.
Yeah, but
that was pretty much it.
Kaylee Ray, I don't even look at as competition to Rhea. I just don't. She's not even in her league.
No, she was flying through the ring with a garbage can and got her face smashed in by it.
Which was pretty funny, by the way.
It was.
And the other thing that I didn't like, and you talked about the Io Shirai, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about this. We can move on to the next one. But Io Shirai, that moonsault, the fact that those two women, after she did that moonsault off the cage, the fact that they couldn't even sell it, they both kind of moved out of the way as she was coming, really, really ruined that moment. And it's like, we see that moment in every cage match. There's always a somersault. Ever since Jimmy Superfly Snuka did it in '84, there's always got to be that off the top, dive, whatever. And Io Shirai did it to perfection. She landed on her feet, which, to be honest, was amazing. The fact that she came from 20 feet up, landed on her feet, and didn't break her damn knees was amazing. Yep. But the two women moving out of the way at the last second really took me out of it. Really kind of, in my mind, kind of ruined that spot.
I can see that. I guess I wasn't watching that closely to see them do that. But if that really happened, then yeah.
To me, it was something that jumped out. Like, if I hadn't kind of been paying half attention, or, but I was, by that point, I was so into it because of that heel turn that I was watching closely. So I noticed it a lot more. Another spot that I noticed that really kind of jumped off the page at me was in the next match, which was a good match. Anytime I can see Pete Dunne, I'm happy, because I've never... he's been around, 3 years now that we've really kind of seen him? 3.5?
I believe so, yeah.
Has he ever had a bad match?
Not that I've seen.
I mean...
And he's had a match of the year,
Multiple. I honestly, I think that he was the star of last year's Wargames. He had such a great year last year that when I look back at it, I'm a little disappointed we didn't have him in our top, 5, 6, 7 of wrestlers of the year, because he had such a great year last year. And this year, every match, I might have had him in my top 10. I know he didn't make our top 5.
Okay.
But I might have had him in my top 10. But he had, and then this year he hits the ground running against Joe Coffey, which is still one of my match of the year candidates. Right. And then his match against Walter, I thought, was just amazing. Everything he's done, I've never seen Pete Dunne have a bad match. Period. And he delivered his normal great match stuff during this whole thing. But Killian Dane, did you notice how when he went for that elbow stomp, where he manipulates joints and all that, and he goes for the elbow stomp, and Killian Dane pulled it away a couple seconds too early?
No, I didn't.
There was just that one little timing issue. That was my only real complaint about this match. That, and when Damian Priest or whatever the hell he's going by now, Punishment Martinez, when he kind of had to scoot almost 6 feet to get into position for Killian Dane to do the cannonball outside the ring. Those were the two spots that really, really kind of pulled me out of this. Otherwise, I thought this was a really good match. Yeah, I really liked those.
That spot I did notice. Yeah,
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. But like you said, I didn't think it was great, and I think we've come to expect greatness when it comes to these triple threat matches on Takeover.
Well, and not just triple threat matches, but anything that involves Pete Dunne. He is so good at what he does, and I felt like his performance during this was as good as expected. I felt like Killian Dane and Damian Priest. Is he Priest? Is he Priestley? What the hell is he?
He's Priest.
Can we just call him Punishment Martinez and leave it at that?
No.
I don't care what his name is now.
You believe the character he has now better than the character of Punishment Martinez? Because I sure do.
Oh, I do. I like his character better, and I think he's actually improved. Remember, I was on his bandwagon at the end of last year, thinking that he was so much better than we were giving him credit for.
Right. Or that I was giving him credit
and
for.
I think, and I think he has definitely improved in the ring. I like his character and the fact that he's pandering to the audience or to the crowd after every big move he does. I like the fact that he wants to go down as a legend and all that stuff. It was more Killian Dane that pulled me out of this than anything else.
That's interesting.
And Killian Dane is a beast.
Yeah,
that Samoa
last year, we were super into Killian Dane last year.
Well, yeah, but was that more because he was a part of Sanity?
No, because I think a lot of it was, he was having those great performances, even when he wasn't with Sanity, where he was, like his match against, or that ladder match where he was taking on that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What the hell
You're
was
right.
that guy? There was.
I can't. I know what. I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember what it was. But I think a lot of what sold me on Killian Dane was his partnership with Sanity. But then again, too, that's where I fell in love with Nikki Cross. And after Sanity went to the main roster and Nikki Cross was left behind, I kind of lost a little steam on her.
Yeah.
But then she, of course, because of how great she is, she won it back over. The only person I feel bad about in this whole Sanity thing is Eric Young. That dude has been around. He's his mid-40s. He was one of the best parts of TNA back in the mid to late 2000 or 2009, 8, 7, that era. Once he left Team Canada, he was such a great character, and it's sad to see him kind of not be anything right now.
See, I was never that big on Eric Young. I mean, I really enjoyed him as part of that whatever that superhero thing was with him and Christopher Daniels and Shark Boy.
And Shark Boy, yeah. Yeah, Shark Boy. I like Shark Boy. I miss Shark Boy.
Yeah. Who doesn't? I mean, Stone Cold Shark Boy. How do you beat that?
Well, yeah, you can't. But I liked him. I mean, I liked him when he was a member of Team Canada, but when he kind of broke away from them and he was doing his women's division thing, and he became, when they put out the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, and him and, was it ODB that he was tag champs with? He was so good in that role. And when they made him that sympathetic Daniel Bryan type character, it kind of turned for him. And I felt like he'd finally caught his wave again with Sanity. And now it's just like, that's just all gone. I mean, is he even still around?
I have no idea. No idea at all.
He's just one of those guys, kind of like my favorite Robert Roode portion was when he was the It Factor.
Right.
I loved him in Beer Money. I loved him in Team Canada. But as the It Factor, was there anybody better?
Yes.
Austin Aries.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, but they were together, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, but I always had those fights against the other, with the other Shane as to which one was Batman, and which one was Robin of that team. So.
Oh, they were both Batman. They were both so good and so funny.
That's just
part of me
as your 1A stuff. You can't have two Batman in one team.
Yeah, you can. I just did. I have Val Kilmer.
Speaking of Batman,
and I have Michael Keaton.
Did you watch the men's Survivor Series match?
Yeah, I did.
So, was that like a Batman Beyond costume that Ricochet was wearing?
I'm not really sure, but I kind of thought that too. So it had to have been.
All right, that's what I was thinking.
But you can have two Batmans. You have Val Kilmer, or not? I'm sorry, not Val Kilmer. Christian Bale and Michael Keaton. Ha, two of them.
Not in the same movie, dude.
They could be.
Oh my god.
In fact, if we had had Christian Bale as Batman and dude that became fat that was in Good Will Hunting, Ben Affleck, had him as Bruce Wayne.
I was going to say Matt Damon.
What's that?
I was going to say Matt Damon when you said the guy was in Good Will Hunting.
Oh yeah, I guess they both got fat, didn't they? Actually, Matt Damon, he did that movie with The Rock, and he lost a shit ton of weight and put it all on his muscle. So I'm impressed with him. But Ben Affleck, he's just gotten fat. But regardless,
what
Ben
happened
Affleck,
was that when Kevin Smith went on a diet, he gave Ben Affleck all his weight.
He had to have. Oh my God. I swear to God, between Armageddon and Batman, he gained 600 pounds. He blew.
600.
I don't know what happened to him, but anyway, we got Christian Bale as Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. Perfect Batman right there.
You did not like Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne?
No, I didn't.
Wow. Okay.
I liked him when he was being the arrogant asshole, but as Bruce Wayne, typically, no. I thought both Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck were better than Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne. Michael Keaton was great as Bruce Wayne. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that you're not going to come out and tell me that Tobey Maguire was the best Peter Parker ever.
Oh no, that'll never happen.
Good.
Whoever this kid is now, Tom Holland, he's the best Peter Parker and the best Spider-Man. He's the best of both of them. There's no one better, and there'll never be a better Iron Man than Robert Downey Jr. Plain and simple.
I really liked Andrew Garfield as Batman.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. But he wasn't one of my top. I still Val Kilmer, or not Val Kilmer. I keep going to Val Kilmer. I still felt like Christian Bale might have been the strongest actual Batman that I've ever seen. Maybe it's because he did 3 movies, so it was a little different. You got more out of him than the other guys. I just felt like he was in The Dark Knight and in Batman Begins. I don't know that there could have been a better Batman than Christian Bale.
No, I agree with that. I was talking about as far as Spider-Man goes. I thought Tom Holland. Andrew Garfield was fantastic as
Oh, sorry. I heard you say. I thought you said Batman. Sorry, my bad. And now that you say it, yeah.
When did Andrew Garfield ever play Batman?
Leave me alone. I'm tired, man.
All right,
I didn't sleep last night.
All right,
anyway, okay, so yeah, Andrew Garland, yes. He was, if I had to rank them, it's Tom Holland, Andrew Garland, and Tobey Maguire.
Okay, can we put Andrew Garfield in there somewhere, though?
Didn't I say him? I thought I said him.
You said Andrew Garland.
Leave me alone. I'm tired, man.
Yeah,
I need sleep.
So and then as far as Batman's, we'll go with Christian Baker as number 1.
Christian Baker.
Yeah,
Fuck you.
Since you said Andrew Garland, I just went Christian Baker instead of Bale. So.
Wow. Okay. Why do I talk to you, by the way?
All right. So
anyway, are we going to get back to actual wrestling talk here? Because we're now. Remember, we always said we weren't going to go over an hour. We're almost pushing an hour right now.
We are. We're actually an hour and 4 minutes right now.
Right.
So Balor versus Riddle. Go.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Could have done without the ending because I really felt like Matt Riddle should have won that. But I loved the match. I thought they both worked their asses off. I thought they told a good story. I loved the fact that Riddle gave up his spot in the Wargames to go after the redemption of Johnny Gargano. Everything about this match I absolutely loved.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it too. So there is nothing I can say about it other than, first of all, I can't believe that Balor's using the double stomp. but
right.
But it's one of the few Finn Balor matches I've seen in years that I've really enjoyed. So.
And he has to stop calling it 1916. Go back to calling it Bloody Sunday and leave it at that.
Yeah.
This 1916 DDT is no. It's a Bloody Sunday. Leave it at that.
You know, the only thing about 1916 is it might make people look up to see what 1916 actually means. You know.
That's a good point.
You know, which is the year of the Irish Revolution. So.
Right.
You know, so I mean,
and that makes sense. Okay.
And you know, I do like the elevated version of the 1916 that he's been doing. That he's actually I think he did win the match with that, didn't he? He didn't win with the double stomp.
Yeah, he did.
That's right.
The double stomp he missed, remember, and hurt his knee.
Yeah. Well, there was actually I can say there was actually one bad part about that is that Matt Riddle did not sell that shotgun dropkick very well.
No, he did not. And the fact that he had to move like 4 feet to get in position for the double or for the coup de grace was a little bit. And seriously, Morrow, not everything has to be bro. It's not bro to sleep. It's not stop. Seriously.
The Broton.
The Broton. He had a bro drop kick and he had a drop bro or something in there too. It was starting to get annoying. But every time I see Matt Riddle, and it doesn't matter if it's Evolve, it doesn't matter if it's NXT, every time I see Matt Riddle, I like him more. He is just really, really talented. And the way that he did the ankle lock and then was able to flip to the other ankle was a great transition and something I've never seen before. And that's part of the reason I'm starting to really like Matt Riddle, is because of things like that.
Yeah, and for anybody out there who like looking at Matt Riddle and saying, okay, so he was undefeated, now he's lost some matches, he still hasn't held a championship in Takeover, he lost to Finn Balor in Balor's return. I just want to point out that that not just anybody pins Randy Orton in a Survivor Series match. So I thought that was a huge feather in the cap of Matt Riddle to actually be a guy that pinned Randy Orton at Survivor Series.
To anybody that actually says, he hasn't held gold and all that stuff, I say, fuck you. Watch his matches. Win or lose, he is a superstar. And somebody that is going to be... I mean, he's only been a pro for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And we've been watching him now for, a year and a half in NXT? And I remember when he first came out, we were laughing about his stupid character and how bad he was. And because of the Cassius Ohno stuff. But once he hit his groove, I don't know that there's a better wrestler in NXT than Matt Riddle. He goes out and delivers every time he's in the ring. Every single time. And he did it again in this match. And to make, I mean, like you just said, this was probably my favorite Finn Balor match. And unlike you, I've actually been a fan of Finn Balor. So for me to say that this is my favorite is a big step. And part of the reason was because of Matt Riddle and how well he is. And how good he is at selling. How good he is at just making not only Finn Balor look good, but the way that he puts on his moves. It's all seamless. He doesn't miss. He doesn't fumble through anything. He does transition spots that you look at and go, how the hell did he get to that? Mm-hmm. It's truly amazing to watch him perform. And it's one of those things that I'm glad I get a chance to, because he is really, really good.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite Finn Balor match since his match against Samoa Joe at Takeover when Joe got all bloodied up.
Oh, yeah, when Balor lost, and yeah.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite Balor match, so it's always like in 2.5 years or something?
No, that was like 4 years ago.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? No.
Yeah, it was like 2016, yeah. We're pushing 4 years since that match happened.
Right, because it was right now. Right, because it was also the time he debuted, wasn't it? Yeah, so it was 2000. Yep. I think it was March of 2016 or something like that.
And the next night, Finn appeared on Raw and was entered into that Universal title picture, and then won it at what was it, Survivor Series that year? I don't remember.
SummerSlam.
One of those. Okay, it was SummerSlam. So I mean, yeah, we're going back about 4 years since that happened.
Yeah, you're right. That's Yeah, so 3.5 years, not 2.5 years. So anyway, I thought it was really great, and I think at some point we can talk about Rhea Ripley a bit too, but I think we're pushing it on this one. So but
Yeah,
you haven't seen NXT yet, so I just want to let you know that she was out there talking shit about Shayna Baszler, and Baszler came back, got in her face, and said, "They call you the nightmare, but I'm the reality."
Oh, great line.
Yeah.
Great line.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that Shayna has become probably your best your favorite female wrestler of all time.
Absolutely.
She is getting there for me too. I mean, it's when you look at female wrestlers before, and I'm not going to say Shayna Baszler is amazingly beautiful by any stretch. You look at Candice LeRae, you look at Velvet Sky, Angelina Love.
I'll say that Shayna Baszler looks like the Predator. So.
She does, and that's where I was going with that whole stretch. So a lot of people, because it's just been, and maybe it's the WWE's fault. Maybe it's the fact that WCW and NWA, they never really had a women's division. Mm-hmm. That people look at, in order to be a great female wrestler, you have to be a fucking model. There are some women that are wrestling now that are actually really talented that have the model good look. Charlotte Flair is one. Candice LeRae is one. Sasha is one. But Shayna Baszler is not somebody that I would go as model good look. But she might be the best wrestler on the planet as far as women go.
And I think she has
she
has been for like 6 months. So.
The only person I could even put in that category is Kelly Klein. I think Kelly is amazing, but I don't think she's had the kind of competition and stage that Shayna Baszler has had. I think if she ever gets it, I think Kelly Klein is going to be right up there with Shayna Baszler.
Well, see, and I was going to say that, and I was thinking this while watching the Wargames match, and then also watching the next night on Survivor Series, is that, and I've mentioned this for like the last, I mentioned this like maybe a month, 6 weeks ago. Io Shirai is really climbing up that ladder for me too. Yeah,
she has gotten good too. Since her heel turn,
she's so good that I really want to go back and watch some of her old matches in Stardom and see what I'm missing there.
Since her heel turn, she has gotten so good. So good. I love the fact that she was walking out of the ring telling the fans to go fuck themselves. I thought that was just such a great touch on her character.
Yeah, and for those out there that might be thinking, well, you're kind of discounting the 4 horsewomen. Maybe
the other two suck. The other two suck.
I was going to say, but here's the thing: is that 4 horsemen built a foundation for these other women to come up. They were never going to be, the greatest women wrestlers of all time, because they created a foundation for others to be better than them down the road. I've never been the fan of Charlotte that a lot of people are. So.
When you said 4 horsewomen, I was actually thinking of the UFC 4 horsewomen.
No, I was thinking of the WWE
with Jessamine Duke and. Okay, yeah. Now that you're saying Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, and Becky,
yeah, and they're all they're all really good to great. I'm not going to take anything away from any of them, but my point is somebody had to come first, for this generation, and it's like, Jeff is a huge fan of Ric Flair. I'm not, but
loved it.
But
kind of want
without
his children.
Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, you don't get AJ Styles, and you don't get Chris Jericho.
Good point.
And to me, as good as the women are right now, 5-10 years from now, we're going to see people that are even better, that dwarf the accomplishments of these people. So,
if you think about it, without Hogan, you don't get Edge. You don't get Christian. You don't get
Bully Ray.
Jesus, Randy.
You don't get Bully Ray or Mick Foley without Jimmy Snuka. So
exactly. I mean, you look back at the history of who we thought were the greats in the late 70s, early 80s, And then you look at what became of that in the 90s. And now we're looking at people that are emulating our favorites from the 90s, and they're better than what we saw then. Do you have Finn Balor without Edge and without Hogan and without those guys? Do you have Kevin Owens without Steve Austin? And now we're coming on that next generation, because now we've got Owens and Orton and Cena, who kind of paved the way for these new guys coming up. I mean, I know you're not a Mike Bennett fan, but Mike Bennett has really emulated himself after Edge. And you've got all these people like Matt Taven, who's kind of become the next version of CM Punk, and so on and so on and so on. And in 10 years, we're going to start to see that out of the women, where you're going to find these guys like Hulk Hogan, who's now been improved on. And Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, Bayley, they are the improvement on Trish and Lita and Medusa and all Alundra Blaze, who is Medusa,
Victoria and Molly Holly, who always get shortchanged in these discussions.
Oh,
I'm going to throw that
exactly. Those two, and of course Angelina Love. I mean, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky in the mid 2000s, they were the knockout division, along with Victoria and Molly and Mickie James. Mickie James is another one. Yeah. Oh yeah, and absolutely Gail Kim.
I mean, Gail Kim helped build the knockouts division, and then went to WWE and helped build that division. So.
And then quit on national television and went back to TNA.
Yep.
And one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. But yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's all building on something that happened before, and eventually we have some great women wrestlers right now. We have some that are being forced down our throats. But if you can get past the ones that are being forced down our throats, the ones that are great,
Charlotte.
There's some.
Excuse me.
Hey, I think Charlotte has her moments. I'm not going to say she's the greatest of all time. I don't think she should have 9 women's championships at this point. But I will give her credit. She is very talented. She's definitely a flair.
And that's my exact point: is she is talented. But is she not much more talented than the other than anybody else in that division, that she should have 9 championships at this point?
Oh, hell no!
That she should have. Is she that talented that she should have been shoehorned into the main event of WrestleMania instead of it just being Becky versus Ronda Rousey? No.
Or hey, maybe the fact that Sasha went how long before she won a belt? Has she even won a belt yet?
Sasha?
Yeah.
Yeah, she and Becky traded it back and forth. She and Charlotte traded it back and forth a few years ago, remember?
On the main roster?
On the main roster, yeah.
That's how disappointing that was.
Where Sasha would win the title on Raw, and then Charlotte would have back from her on pay-per-view.
It's fucking disappointing.
They were the first 2 women to main event a WWE pay-per-view when they faced each other in Hell in a Cell for the championship.
Okay, yeah, you're right. And still to this day, the way they've positioned Sasha Banks, who I think is probably the most talented of the 4 horsewomen, even ahead of Becky Lynch, is embarrassing. It truly is. Sasha is, and I just made Ryan Evans really, really happy by saying that. Just so you know. Yes. He is like, he right now is kind of shaking with excitement, like a chihuahua.
The way that I look at them is that
I just called Ryan a chihuahua, and you're just going past it like it didn't happen.
Well, I don't really want to call one of our most devoted listeners
loyal,
a little demon pocket dog. So
fair enough. Ryan, we love you.
But what I was going to say is that I think Becky is the best of them in the ring. I think Sasha is the best of them on the mic.
overall.
And overall,
She's the best.
I think Charlotte is the best athlete of the four, and then I think Bayley just kind of has pieces of all of that, but she is, to me, she's clearly the fourth best of them.
She's the fourth best, but she might be the most lovable character of the bunch.
I could never. I agree with that, but not for me.
No, and
not
not for me either. She's not for me either. But she is one of those. She might, and I guess lovable is the wrong word. Maybe most sympathetic character of the bunch.
No, I think you're right the first time. It's just not somebody that I personally gravitate to. But I realize that I'm in the minority on that.
I'm right there with you on the minority, but we agree on so much that doesn't surprise me.
No.
But yeah,
and the other thing that I'll say is that of all the women on the main roster, I love Asuka, but she's not overall ever going to be a fantastic wrestler just because she can't really talk on the mic for an American audience.
No.
So to me,
but she is immensely talented in the ring.
Yeah, but to me, the second best overall woman in WWE proper is Alexa Bliss.
Oh, absolutely. Overall, yes. She's phenomenal in the ring. She's phenomenal on the mic. She is one of probably, and I don't want to call her underrated because I think, she's gotten her due in the WWE, but overall, has she really gotten her due?
No, I
think
she has haters out there that think that she's gotten too much, and I don't.
Well, and she was one of those people because she came up the same time that whatever that dancing idiot from New York was, Carmella. She came up at the same time as Carmella, and Alexa took off. And it wasn't just because she's, 5 feet of fury and just gorgeous as all hell. She is really, really talented. She might have been probably the best female heel in the business for a long time. She's great in the ring. She was very, very underutilized in NXT. And it's rare that you can say that about somebody that was an NXT call-up. Because normally they get it right in NXT and not so much on the main roster. She is one of the few people that they didn't get right in NXT, but they hit a home run on the main roster.
Agreed. And the other thing with her is that this isn't about her necessarily completely, but when she came up, a lot of people were angry that she kind of got the spot people thought was going to go to Becky. She had so much more motivation. She was so much hotter than Becky that she kind of took the spot that everybody thought was going to go to Becky. And that ended up working for the benefit of both of those performers because without that, Becky doesn't get as hot as she got at the end of last year.
I think Becky, having failed, and not failed, she put on amazing matches. And for people that are true wrestling fans, we understood that. She just never got her gold. She never got the love that you would expect from the WWE roster. But for us hardcore fans, we loved her from the start. We thought she was great. But without Alexa kind of hitting that home run, and without people like Ruby Riott coming in, Alexa just talked to me for no reason. Without Ruby Riott coming in, hitting that home run, without some of these other people coming up, I don't know that Becky Lynch would have ever gotten to the man character that got her over. And it really was that character that got her to the point she is now, where she might be the most popular wrestler on WWE proper.
Right, and I think you and I, and I think a lot of other people out there realize that Sasha Banks is the best women's wrestler on the main roster. The question is, will she ever have that timing like the other three have had, where she has the opportunity to actually become the man, or to become the
and that's
in that organization.
That's one of the things I fear, and why I was so sad when she actually came back to WWE. I think she might be the odd man out, even though she's the most talented. But I don't know that she'll ever reach the heights she did in NXT with her boss character.
No, and the window I think was, I think there was a window there where she could have, but they decided to
recently
to triple down on Charlotte rather than. Oh yeah, recently they could have done it too, but I'm talking about a couple of years ago. They decided to triple down on Charlotte rather than making them both equal.
Right, and when she came back and turned heel after 6-7 months off, and came back and was able to turn heel, they could have capitalized on her again, and they chose not to. And that's sad because, like you said, she might be the most talented woman on that roster. Two other people that I think are really, really talented, but they're not getting the kind of love they deserve. And I know we've gone in a WWE turn here probably because of NXT, whatever. But Liv Morgan and I can't think of her name right now. She was part of the not Mandy Rose, the other one.
Sarah Logan?
Yeah, Sarah Logan. Liv and Sarah are two. Oh, and Peyton Royce is another one too, that are immensely talented. I just don't know if they're ever going to get the gimmick that gets them over. I think they're kind of stuck where they're at right now. And those are three women that I think have so much potential to be that kind of upper echelon, like where Becky and Sasha and Bayley and all those guys are. I just don't know if they're ever going to get that love.
I felt so lost watching Sarah Logan at Survivor Series because I was like, okay, so she's a Viking, so is she with War Machine, or what the hell is going on with this shit?
Who are they? Are they War Machine? Are they War Raiders? Are they even an Igor? What the hell are they now?
They're the Viking Experience, but I'm always going to call them.
I don't give a shit what they are. It's annoys me.
Yeah,
that's one of those things that annoys me.
No, they're the Viking Raiders.
And what are they? Would they change their name to Eric and Ivor or Ivan or something?
Eric and Ivor, I think.
Whatever. It's ridiculous. It's Hanson and Rowe.
Oh no, it's definitely ridiculous. I was just trying to answer your question.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
It's okay.
Holy shit, we're an hour and a half in. When was the last time we did a show this long?
Don't know. Good question.
Have we even talked about the main event yet?
Barely. I mean, I mentioned how I mentioned how it annoyed me.
And see, I loved it. I mean, I felt like Ciampa being the guy to start it, and Roderick Strong coming down and being the second was probably the best combination we could have had.
No.
And I want to...
Kyle O'Reilly.
You don't think so?
Kyle O'Reilly would have been better than Roderick Strong.
You think so? Because
he's Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, but Strong has been... He's been really, really good, and he keeps getting better.
Yeah, but I've been...
ever since his... Yeah, that's fair enough. Oh, that brings me to one thing that I was going to say that I know is going to cause some angst between us. And you probably won't talk to me tomorrow, and it's fine.
As long as I talk to you on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, it's fine. O'Reilly and Strong, or Red Dragon?
O'Reilly and Strong.
Okay, good, because that's what I was thinking too. Those who have some sick chemistry, and they proved it in this Wargames match.
Yeah, they
Like I love Red Dragon, but some of the stuff I was seeing out of O'Reilly and Strong was almost magical. It was like, how were these two not still tag team champions?
Right.
I would have rather seen.
And that's the crazy thing is that Kyle O'Reilly is the best is part of my two favorite tag teams on the planet. You know.
Right. Exactly. Oh, and he's mine too. He's always been one of those guys that never has gotten his due. But when I was watching the chemistry between those two in this War Games match, I kept going, what the hell? Why are we so in love with Red Dragon when these two could be a tag team?
Well, because that's what we have. I mean, we don't have these two as a tag team anymore.
I just wish we did, because they are so good together. They have so much chemistry together. They actually, I mean, I love Red Dragon. Love them. They're one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Mm-hmm. But Strong and O'Reilly together is just something. There's so much chemistry there that I think gets overlooked. And when you look at two people as a tag team and you try to see if they'll mesh, you get the Hart Foundation, Neidhart and Hart, you get Demolition. I think that Strong and O'Reilly could be in that same discussion as with one of the best tag teams of all time because of their chemistry. Now, of course, they're not going to be, because they keep going back to Red Dragon. I just think they could be.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but Red Dragon was set to defend their tag team titles on NXT against Dominic Dijakovic and Keith Lee.
Okay.
Dijakovic threw Bobby Fish onto Kyle O'Reilly. O'Reilly's knee hit... Fish's knee hit O'Reilly's knee, and O'Reilly was not able to actually wrestle in the match. So I haven't heard how badly hurt he is, but it was, of course, Roderick Strong who filled in that match. They retained their championships by hitting the high-low, and so it is certainly possible that we have those guys as tag team champions again.
Speaking of which, though, did you catch that spot during the War Games match when they really messed up? When Dijakovic and Lee messed up that throw and probably put Fish on the shelf for quite a while? The fact that he was able to continue that match after getting that knee shot when Strong was thrown into him and he hyperextended that knee the way he did was amazing. And he still went, another 15, 20 minutes?
Oh, I totally forgot about that, yeah.
And, when we're watching it, and it's one of the few times I'll give Ronaldo credit. He called it out. No, actually, it was Nigel that called it out about how it looked like it, was something major and something serious. It took him a good 4 to 5 minutes before he could get up on his feet. And then the fact that he did some moves. He did that moonsault. He did, a couple things here and there where people forgot about it. But that was a major, major hit. And it would not surprise me if that puts him on a shelf for a while. And it was all a blown spot. I mean, it was just, they went for something that they couldn't do. Why they did it, I still to this moment have no clue. But it was Roderick Strong, 220, 225 pounds? Did they really think they were going to throw him over both ropes? That was one of the scariest spots I've seen in a long time.
Well, apparently they thought they were strong enough to do it.
Yeah, guess what? You're not. It was just one of those moments where I was watching it going, That's going to be a problem. And maybe Bobby Fish really ended up hurt.
Yeah, that definitely could be it. Because it sure didn't look like this. It sure didn't look like the spot that where he hurt his knee. It should have hurt him as badly as it apparently did. But I have not read anything on it about if he's actually legitimately out or not.
He had a 220-pound man thrown into his knee.
No, not
that
what
had
I'm
to
talking
hurt.
about. I'm talking about the one in NXT. What I mean is that when they said he hurt himself on, did not look like it really would have.
Yeah, okay.
And granted, knee injuries can come out of nowhere, so that could have just be bullshit by me. But
yeah, and that's possible. I mean, my biggest takeaway was the fact that the chemistry between Strong and O'Reilly is something that is magical, and I really, really hope that I would have rather, at this point, after seeing the way they work together and how good they look together, I'd rather see Strong and O'Reilly as the tag team champions and Bobby Fish as the national. Is it national? What is it? What do they call it?
North American.
Yeah. So many fucking championships in all
really
these
are.
promotions. I can't even keep track anymore. But I would rather see Bobby Fish as the individual champ that Roderick Strong is, even though he puts on amazing matches singly too, because I just think that O'Reilly and Strong together is one of those magical combinations where they just fit perfectly.
Yeah, and when I saw them live defending the titles at Takeover Chicago 2 last year, I felt exactly the same. I felt like, wow, I'm watching one of the greatest. It's what could be one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. But I don't know. You have anything else? We've gone a lot longer than we were planning.
We have. So I think we should let it go. If we have anything else, we can touch on it another day.
All right, fine. All right, guys. Patreon. That's our big thing. We're not doing a show tonight. We're going to hit that on Thursday. Lots come up in both our personal lives again. So we're going to do it on Thursday. But patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. You want to support this show? Go there. We got a couple of different tiers you can donate to us. We enjoy all the support we get, and it does help us continue to bring you guys more content. We try to do something exclusive for Patreon every week, and we have our two shows, Kingdom of Honor, which is #KOH, and Dynamite After Dark, which is #DAD. That brings me to Twitter. You can follow me at RegiCoop, him at ZanmanLOP. Follow us personally. Also follow us because of the show. Again, best way to find us is #KOH and #DAD. And YouTube. Another thing we're trying to do. Eventually, Imp has me on this. He has me on a mission, because he is broadcasting live on YouTube, and I want to do it. So go to youtube.com/Kingdom of Honor, click this link, any link, all of them, so that we can get the listens. Click subscribe to that channel and the notification bell. That is the best way to get us to a point where we are actually going to be able to broadcast live on YouTube. That's all I got. That's all of it. I have no more.
Is that all you got?
I'm looking at Dakota Kai pictures right now. I don't care about anything. Wow, she's hot.
Dakota Kai pictures.
Oh my God, she's hot.
What?
How have I not noticed? Yes. Oh my God.
You need to get out more.
Yeah, I do. We both know that. All right.
Yeah.
Shut up.
And
Do the other
Jeff
thing.
was saying, Imp is broadcasting live on LOP Radio's, or excuse me, Lords of Pain's YouTube site. You can also check out any LOP show on there. Typically, they're posted within about a day of them coming on. So if you really want to listen to us on YouTube for some reason. You can do that. It won't be any fun video to go with it, but you can certainly listen to it. You can also check out all the other LOP radio shows. I don't believe that. The Global Revolution is back on. There was actually an episode last Tuesday, so check that out. Also, on Wednesday is Sports Entertainment is Dead and Dynamite After Dark. On Thursday is EMP's LOP Radio Adventure. On Friday is The Right Side of the Pond. And then we'll be back with you next week with Kingdom of Honor. We'll be talking about what I have no idea. But it'll probably involve something with pro wrestling.
It will, unless I have another week like I had. Then we're going to talk about my life, because my life is fun.
I don't get paid enough therapy dollars to talk about your life on the air.
Oh, I haven't given you our whatever.
No, you've not given me a whatever. You're correct.
All right. So, love you guys.
So, as
that's your cue.
That's my cue. Okay. As our buddy Steve always used to say, take care of yourselves out there in the really, really world. Remember, nothing is trivial. That's all we've got. We'll try to do better next time. This is Shane saying long days, pleasant nights, and Jeff saying
goodbye.
G1 Climax 27. Goodbye and good night. Bang.